the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Podcast. It's going to be the last podcast we do before the group stage concludes on Sunday. We're going to be talking about RCB's victory to put the pressure on Delhi. We're going to be talking about Rajasthan pipping Lucknow to second place. And we'll be previewing this afternoon's contest between Delhi and Mumbai. There's a completely meaningless match that's going to happen tomorrow. I doubt we'll talk about it too much, to be honest, but Punjab...
I think we should just pretend it's not happening.
Punjab are playing Sunrisers. Max is the name of the person I'm with. He's wearing his Chennai shirt. How you doing, Max?
Hello. Yeah, very good, thank you. Looking forward to playing some cricket today, and I'm wearing my Chennai shirt. I'm proud of my brave boys. They put up a strong fight against the mighty Rajasthan.
And Jack is the name of me, the man with my voice. I apologise. I've got a bit of hay fever, so I'm quite bunged up. I'm even more nasal than normal. Somebody compared me
if that
once,
were possible.
Somebody compared me once to Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on Guerrilla Cricket, which I thought was harsh, but if it's ever going to be true, it's going to be now. Max, let's do 30 seconds of messages for listeners.
Right, start the clock. Like this video, this stream on YouTube, and follow us follow our channel on YouTube. Click the little bell button. If you see a bell button, click it. Beat the algorithm. Yeah, we love the attention, and we love your support. It's great. Head over to Instagram and Twitter at the Cricket Pod. Get in touch with us there. Follow all our musings on various cricket as it happens. And we are sponsored by Serious Cricket. So if you want to go and get some cricket gear, then head over there, seriouscricket.co.uk. With the code TCP22 for 10% off all your cricket equipment. And finally, best way to support us, if you want to keep us going, keep our motivation, is patreon.com/cricketpod, where there's a bunch of extras, exclusive shows. We're due another one of those, so we will be putting one of those out in the near future.
We actually have to do two. We're 1 month behind, but like the IPL has been so intense. But we've got a backlog of stuff.
We'll catch up. So apologies, and if you sign up now, you'll get more in a short space of time than you normally would. So there you go. Over to you, Jack.
Yeah, right. Let's talk about yesterday first, because RCB and Delhi, their fates are inextricably linked. Like I don't know, Aragorn and Saruman in Lord of the Rings.
String theory.
Doesn't quite work, does it? Is there a good v evil, better comparison?
Harry Potter and Voldemort.
There
Jack.
you go.
Come on.
There you go.
You should know this.
Which team's Harry Potter?
Well, surely Virat Kohli's Voldemort, right? The Dark Lord.
True. Yeah, that probably is right. Also I think like Rishabh Pant reminds me of Harry Potter in a way, or at least like Fred Weasley. Maybe Prithvi Shaw's Harry Potter. Do they have anyone ginger?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Remember.
It's probably someone.
Can't think of anyone.
Nortje is South African, and Sean Pollock was ginger. So
yeah, there we go. There's the connection. Yeah. Right, Chennai Super Kings v Rajasthan Royals yesterday. Max, your boys, they went out fighting. What happened?
They did. It was a really strangely paced game of cricket. What happened was Chennai Super Kings lost an early wicket. And then Moeen Ali went absolutely ballistic and scored 68 of 26 in the power play to take Chennai to 75 for two off the power play, which is the highest power play score of the tournament so far. And then they proceeded to score the exact same number of runs off the following 14 overs of the game. And I'm just a little confused about why and how that happened, but that is what happened. 150 was the total, and in response, Rajasthan also got off to a pretty quick start. Not quite the same blistering effort as Moeen Ali, but it wasn't necessarily needed when you're only chasing 150. But even then, they completely ground to a halt after the power play was over as well, which suggests it was there was something there to cause such happenings. And it looked like they were going to be left with a little too much to do at the end. The run rate got to about 12 off the last 4 or 5 overs, and they were a few wickets down. But cometh the hour, cometh the man, the finisher that is our Ashwin. Absolutely dispatched the lack of Chennai death bowling and took them home with a couple of balls to spare and secure second spot ahead of Lucknow, which is a very big boon for them.
Let's talk about Ashwin first. Then we'll talk about the power play weirdness, and then we'll talk about Dhoni's decision making at the end. I think they're the three things. You can feel free to add to the agenda. Why did he want to win so much? He went ballistic. It was like he'd won. It was like he'd just clinched an away series in Australia, or just won the World Cup.
I've given up trying to read into the mind of Ravi Ashwin. It's a mysterious thing. We like looking into, is it the Palantir that we're going back to Lord of the Rings again.
I know what you mean. The ball.
Yeah, look into the ball. Yeah. It was bizarre. And we were questioning why he came in at 5 as well, ahead of Parag or Hetmeyer. I thought maybe the right hand, left hand combo was actually a good move to go with at this point, because it was getting quite easy for Chennai just to bowl Moeen Ali through against all of the left-handers. So that made sense. But what didn't make sense is why you'd go for Ravi Ashwin ahead of Rian Parag. What made sense in the end was going for Ravi Ashwin ahead of Rian Parag, because he smashed it. But I genuinely didn't know he had that in him. I mean, I knew he could take on spinners, like he hit spin nicely, but it was.
Well, he's played a match-winning knock there, hasn't he?
Yeah,
it's
stunning.
It's 40 from 23, strike rate 173. He hits 3 sixes. They absolutely, definitely lose that match without sending in Ashwin. At that point, yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it may well be the pinnacle for Ashwin as a T20 batter, but why not? It was. Why not bring it out against one of your old franchises? Do a Dhoni against Dhoni in a sense.
And dare we think about a finisher role for Ravi Ashwin at the World Cup for India?
Possibly that's what they should do. You've got King Legend and Rohit opening up, Kohli at 3, then just send in Ashwin at 4. You're sorted.
make it for lost time.
I maybe celebrate. There is a huge advantage to finishing second over third. Right, if you were just looking at the table, you may have thought that this was another kind of dead rubber, but it actually means I think, didn't we do the maths on this? You're 3 times more likely to win the tournament, assuming all the teams are 50-50. All games 50-50. If you finish first or second, versus third or fourth. Now Rajasthan, they might not be favourites to beat Gujarat. Gujarat have been good this year. They it's probably let's say Gujarat are a 55% favourite, so they're not quite 3 times more likely to win, but they've given themselves a much better chance now. Is the crucial thing. They get to play 2 semi-finals, and they only need to win one of them to get to their big dance. So well done, Ashwin. I think. Just another small note. Jaiswal was pretty good fun as well.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
He set things off nicely. Did he hit the first 3 balls for 4 or the first 2 balls for 4? Definitely. Just mashing poor Mukesh Chowdhury through the covers.
Wasn't quite the full Trent Bolt treatment though.
It wasn't. No, I mean actually that's probably something that we should add to the
tail
to the docket. Yeah. What was the next thing I wanted to talk about? Yeah, come on.
The last thing was Dhoni's decision making. The first thing was Ashwin. So what was the middle bit? Moeen Ali. Power play madness.
Power play madness. Yeah. So Moeen, that was incredible. They were 75. This isn't mad. They were 75 for 1 at the end of the power play. That's the 3rd best power play of the tournament, and they've ended up with. I haven't got the list of scores in front of me, but I would be very surprised if this is anywhere above a bottom 3rd score. It's 150 is not. On that pitch, not a total disaster. I'd say probably 15 runs below par. Maybe a bit more. I don't think Rajasthan covered themselves in glory either, actually, in the middle overs. And I think the way they played made the pitch appear to be harder to bat on than it was. Because Rajasthan also had a pretty good power play, they knew they could be quite careful and get themselves to a winning position. They just took that carefulness to probably a little bit of an extreme. And Ashwin actually played a role in doing that himself, and he just sort of hit them out of it at the end. But I think CSK, it was. I mean, there are some things in here that are strange. They didn't really bat particularly deep, so the loss of 4 wickets would have been a problem for them, or 5 wickets would have been a problem for them. Mitch Santner coming in at 7. I don't know. I mean, Ambati Rayudu's had his moments this year. Not a particularly quick starter, so he's always likely to slow the game down. And Jagadeesan, another one of those players, it's very hard to see why he's actually got an IPL contract, let alone why he's in an IPL front 11. Is one of the sort of top 6. So it was on the cards that they, 75 for 1. You're thinking at the end of the power play, if you're mapping out the rest of the innings, good teams will score between 25 and 30% of their runs in power play, and then they'll get a lot more. So they should have probably been looking at 200, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
With the facts I've just outlined there, maybe 200 was unrealistic, but 180 should still have been kind of.
Well, I mean, what's the run rate for 180? You're looking at 105 off 14 overs. It's not too challenging, is it? You're looking at just 7 basically, 7 over. Pretty much.
And I think they managed. 14. What did they manage? 5.7, 5.6.
Yeah, that's horrendous.
And they hit the 7th over for 8. So it was. it actually got worse. What do you think it was that caused the slowdown? And you saying, we've got factors here. We've got some stuff I've outlined about the CSK batting order. We've got poor decision making from CSK in terms of how aggressive they are. We've got an amazing bowling performance from Rajasthan. Where are you apportioning blame?
It's quite an odd one, because I've never seen I don't think, at least from the top of my head, like such a dramatic turnaround in sort of how a batting performance has gone from one over to the next. I mean, Moeen Ali off, what was he? He was 68 off 26 and 93 off 57. So you're looking at off his basically like 30 off 30 for the rest of the game, which and that's what puzzled me the most, was and possibly points to the fact that it was quite tricky after all the fielders went out, because the boundaries were a reasonable size as well, so it wasn't like you didn't have a short boundary that you could pepper. But when you've got and sort of to a similar extent as well with Jaiswal, who had a good start and then slowed down a bit. You've got 2 guys who in the power play were bossing it and absolutely set, and then both of them who were obviously very in and seeing the ball quite nicely, just immediately stopped. So there must have been something about the pitch that made it difficult. And I think that, there was a sign. There were a few sort of leading edges and sort of things that popped up that didn't quite go to catches, but were a sign of the ball sticking. So that has to be part of it. But I think as much of it was, and here we go again, but intent. It was as much a difficulty in sort of trying to score runs as I didn't actually see people try that hard to score runs. There wasn't a lot of boundary hitting intent until sort of, towards the end for CSK, and that's sort of when they lost a few wickets. Chahal took a couple for the shots that were far from making it. But it was an odd one. It looked difficult, but also at the same time, I don't think there was enough of an attempt to actually push the scoring rate on. And it was, lots of little singles and not enough pushing twos, and very, very strange, both sort of from the mental and approach side of things to how such a dramatic change in ease of scoring runs from the end of the power play to beyond.
Yeah, the Brabant, if you look at the data for this year, has been the stadium, the venue, which has favoured spinners the most, particularly in terms of their ability to take wickets. So you'd expect to see a little bit of a split. I think I think the intent's a really good point. They hit 20 boundaries, so it's a 16.6% on the old boundary percentage. You really want that to be above 18, 19.
Moeen hit 16 of them.
Well, yeah. No, then this is the other thing. It's he hit 6 of them in 1 over. There were vast stretches of this match where it was just not really clear why they were playing like they were. Dhoni did that take it deep thing and then just didn't do anything, which it isn't ideal.
Has happened before.
I do get that they've got Santner at 7 and then 4 number 11s. So you can't go completely nuts the whole way through, or like from the 12th over or something like that. But we were going into the last 4 overs and they were like dropping the ball into the offside and taking a single. It was. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to describe to explain it, to be honest.
That was it. It was confusing. It's difficult to explain because it doesn't make any sense.
I was really impressed by Obed McCoy and his slower balls. I think he's played 3 matches before for the Royals and had been punished. I think his economy for the season was 12. Yeah. He managed to get that. So yesterday, 20 runs off 4 overs with 2 wickets. And he had all the slow balls going. Quite a few of them were wides as well. So he did some of those slow balls to come out kind of strangely. But he looks like he's definitely something to work with there. But yeah, I think a bit of a missed opportunity for CSK to dent Rajasthan's hopes. But they didn't. End of the game, and this is the tactics chat. Dhoni's in the hot seat as he is behind the stumps. Often he has a bunch of bowlers to bowl the last 4 overs. He has 2 of Matisha Patarana. He has 1 of Mukesh Chowdhury, 1 of Simajit Singh, 1 of Mitchell Santner, and I think at that point 3 of Prashant Solanki. Hetmeyer's on strike. Who do you go with? He went with Prashant Solanki. Who would you have gone with?
Well, I suppose he didn't want to go with the in spin to Hetmeyer, did he? That was probably. Well, actually, we did because he's a leg spinner, isn't he? So that makes no sense. If you're going to go with the in spin, you go with. He's left an over of Santner out there. That's the thing I can't get past. He's gone for 5 and over. You've said yourself the stats at the Brabant are that spin is particularly effective, and in fairness, Prashant Solanki did take a wicket in each of his overs, and albeit both from horrific deliveries, which should have gone for 6. But I don't think it ended up being that bad, bowling Prashant Solanki, getting the wicket. But I am surprised he left 1 of Santner out there because, he was difficult to get away. Yeah,
I can forgive the Solanki thing. Then he goes to Patarana, which makes sense. Obviously, if you're going to play a player like that, it's going to be in a more of a death role, you'd have thought. And I thought he bowled pretty well, to be honest, Patarana.
Yeah, he did all right.
The inexplicable thing, I thought, was to go to Mukesh Chowdhury.
We don't know a whole lot about Mukesh Chowdhury because he hasn't played much. But I think in the very short time we've watched him, what we have worked out is power play, not bad. Death, absolutely not.
Yeah, and he doesn't. To be honest as well, he doesn't really do it in the level below. It's not like he came up as a top and tail bowler and then it turned out that his death skills weren't quite good enough for the IPL. He just doesn't do it. Like he just does not do that role. I thought it was really strange that to have Patarana is obviously going to bowl the 20th at this point. That makes sense. Simajit Singh was bowling fast and well. So if you wanted to go seam up, that seemed pretty obvious to me. Again, we don't know too much about Simajit. Maybe he's got no variations and he'd have been really easy to hit or something. Maybe the only thing he'd have been
it would have been the same rather than.
Well, yeah, but a bit quicker. And then Santner has actually bowled at the death a lot in T20 cricket. I'd look into this. His economy rate's under 8. He's bowled like 25 overs in the last 4. Now there's different stages of the death, aren't there? The 19th is a harder over to bowl than the 16th. I expect most of those overs as the 16th, but it still shows he's got something in his locker, particularly when he has a decent matchup, which he would have had. Ravichandran Ashwin and Parag, both right-handers. I think of the 25 overs he's bowled, 23 of them had been delivered to right-handers. So basically, he's only used in that matchup, and he's really effective in that phase of the game. So odd, but Dhoni knows best, and he's going to do another year. That was the other story, wasn't it? Do another year.
Yeah, well, kind of has to now with Jadeja's MIA.
Yeah, where is Jadeja? Is he like going to Goa on the beach?
Yeah.
Right,
take some time to decompress.
Should we do the battle for fourth?
Yeah.
We've just got a super chat in, so I'll read that out from Girish, who's one of our Patreons. Hi, folks. This is Girish here, one of your original Patreons, and then a big smiley face, which is good. Great work, and absolutely enjoying all the sessions. I am a hardcore Mumbai Indians support today. I hope they can do RCB a solid. Obviously, in reference to the fact that if Delhi win, they overtake RCB. RCB, they did the hard work, though, didn't they, on Thursday night? They've done everything they can at this point. Do you have a little summary there for us?
Yeah. So it was Gujarat Titans batting first, having won the toss. So that was interesting to see. But they apart from a quick start from Riman Sahar once he ran himself out, they didn't really get going, did they? It was a story of people scoring at 130 for most of the game, and then looking for the finishing, which came from Rashid Khan. It didn't come from Tawatia. It came from Rashid Khan this time, and it got them to 168 for 5 of 20 overs, which in recent times has been reasonable,
competitive,
defensible. Not against RCB in this game because, Kohli's back.
Yeah, and actually, to be fair to Kohli on this occasion, it's not an ironic Kohli's back. He
was like 30 off 20. He did a great job.
He took down the power play, and then he did okay in the middle overs, and then he got out and let Glenn Maxwell finish the game.
Boy, did he finish the
game! It was a good innings. It's if you're chasing one of these kind of, I'd call a mid-range total probably. 155 through to 170. I think's mid-range, and then Kohli can be really useful. And these kind of innings where you score more, what is that? About a third of the runs, a bit more than a third of the runs, and you basically make the equation for everyone else quite an easy T10. Don't you? Like what does it actually translate to? 95 off 65 for 9 other batters. That's pretty pedestrian, to be honest. And when you've got like Maxwell and Dinesh Karthik and even Shabazz and Hasaranga, you should be pretty confident that that's a good way to go about the chase. And with absolutely no net run rate considerations as well. Why not? Why not shoulder some of the burden and do it that way? So well played to Kohli, I think. And it's good. What else took your eye in this match? Obviously, Kohli, man of the match.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think, Hardik bowling again. Didn't go too well, but he is bowling again. So whether he was giving himself a rest for like the back end, or just thought I'll see how it goes in a game that doesn't matter at all, and see if I can do a job for the final 2, potentially 3 games, potentially 2. Who knows? That was quite interesting to see. The other thing that I found really interesting was the fact that Gujarat Titans basically put their first team out, which I didn't expect at all. I assumed they'd be rotating, giving people a rest. I suppose they've been sort of rotating Ferguson and Alzari Joseph quite a lot, both bowling really quickly, so that's entirely understandable. They pick the same role, and you want to keep them as fresh as possible to fire down 90-mile-an-hour launches as much as you can. But yeah, even then, I'm surprised. I don't know if they wanted to go in with a bit of momentum or whatever, but yeah, surprised or maybe they value the integrity of the competition and thought they'd make RCB have to work for their win.
I think it's really interesting. I think Hardik bowling especially. So Hardik's been saying kind of, and you never really know, do you, like whether they're telling the truth or not. He's been saying, I can bowl, I'm fit to bowl, I'm just choosing not to because we don't need it right now. It was interesting that he's chosen this game as the game where he did need to bowl for whatever reason it is. I think it does quite significantly improve their team if Hardik is fit. Gujarat in general. I mean, so if this is their first team, they've won the league, and I've heard some people still saying that they're not the real deal, and that over a 50-game season they drop out the playoffs. And I've heard other people being like, no, they are the real deal. They're the best team in the tournament. They've shown it. They've beaten some of the good teams. Where do you sit on the continuum?
I think they're probably good enough overall for the playoffs, but I don't think they're winners. And I don't think they'll win the whole thing.
Who do you think is going to win? Rajasthan.
I quite fancy Rajasthan. I do quite fancy Rajasthan, but I could also see, and like literally either whoever comes fourth, RCB or DC, I could see them sneaking it, even though they have to win 3 games in a row, because I just feel like they're the more well-rounded teams. I think Gujarat have kind of been a little reliant on individual performances to a degree, which have, they've won out. Whether it was Rashid Khan in the final over Twatter in the final over Shubman Gill scoring 80, which he's not replicated at all. It doesn't feel as sustainable as sort of what the others have got. I think the RCB performance in this game was exactly what we kind of expected to see from RCB, sort of more consistently throughout the tournament. Aside from Harshal Patel when he bowling one over, that's not kind of what we expected to see. But Hasaranga keeping things tight, Glenn Maxwell being really effective up top in the power play, keeping things down. Sort of a good overall bowling performance with that unit, and then the batting firing, Kohli turning up and anchoring a sensible chase, and Maxwell finishing it. It was sort of the playbook of what you'd expect.
Yeah, very much so. Just on that bowling, I thought another thing worth mentioning, because you never know, it could be the last time we talk about them. Hasaranga's had a pretty good season, it has to be said, hasn't he? Again, yesterday, 4 overs, 25 for 1. The spin core in general, Shabazz and Maxwell both going at 7.5 and over. So they bowled 10 overs of spin for approximately 7 and over. That's good going from those three. But Hasaranga, he is a man that should be praised. Good, really good acquisition from RCB in the end.
Yeah, we weren't sold, were we, at the start? We didn't know whether he was going to be able to do the business, possibly a little too wayward at times, but he's been excellent. Really effective strike ball. He's second in the wickets charts, 24, 2 behind UZ after the 14 games. You never know, still time you could catch him up. And that's been really impressive, but I'm surprised he's been so bad with the bat, because we thought he was going to be like a really useful guy who could net you like a quick 20 or something. And maybe his bowling wasn't, good enough for him to be an out-and-out bowler in the IPL. But he's turned out to be just a bowler this year, and that's been fine.
Yeah,
he's done it really well.
Yeah, I think his batting, I think we will see it. They do have a pretty decent batting lineup, and it may actually turn. I think it might have turned out that it was potentially even better than they expected, because we've seen contributions from Patadar, we've seen a lot of contributions from Shabazz. So I think they were probably thinking, let's have a number 8 in here, because we don't know, whether Lomro, Shabazz, Patadar are going to do much. And they kind of have, and they have. So he hasn't really had to go out and bat. Maxwell's had another pretty good season as well. Just like people, it wasn't as good as last year, and that's
well, he hasn't had like that one big match winning score, has he? I think that's what people maybe are missing, but he's been pretty consistent in scoring. He's averaging quick 30s and 40s.
He's averaging 30 with a strike rate of 172. It's basically
that's good.
It's really similar to what Liam Livingston's doing, except Liam Livingston's hit a couple of 50s, and actually is scoring a little, just a touch quicker. But it's a good season that Maxwell's having, and you never know, if we get to see him in the playoffs, maybe that's where we'll get
see him explode.
Yeah. So I think they're still, for my money, the best T20 team in this tournament. And I like Delhi. I do like Delhi, but I'd like to see more from the Royal Challengers. I think they're a pretty fun team to watch. Got star power too, haven't they? Anything else? Anything else on this match before we talk about this afternoon?
No, I think you've brought us quite neatly to this afternoon's decider.
So it will be the Mumbai Indians v the Delhi Capitals. The equation's really simple, and we've known this for a while. If Delhi win their final match, this is their final match. They are guaranteed to finish fourth, and they will play Lucknow Super Giants in the. I don't know what is it. It's like
the eliminator.
It's the eliminator. It's the quarter final, isn't it? But it's not a quarter final.
The eliminator
teams. Yeah. I think we know kind of what we're going to get from the Capitals. I think there might actually be a situation where they're going to be able to play more or less their full starting 11 for the first time this year. Obviously, Norkia's been down, and then they've had Prithvi Shaw had typhoid, didn't he?
Apparently.
Mitch Marsh had COVID. Ricky Ponting had some time away because of having to isolate in relation to that. So it's been a challenging year for them, but they've done enough to keep touch, and now they get this playoff match effectively against the Mumbai Indians. The Mumbai Indians, who, for everything good that we've been quite positive about teams on this show, haven't we? Because we've been talking about the playoff contenders. All of the good things they have done, Mumbai have not done. They have been an absolute.
They've been abject.
They've been abject. They sit bottom of the table. 3 wins from 13 matches, a minus 0.57 net run rate, which is the worst in the tournament. However, Max, and this is where it might get a little bit interesting, over their last 5 matches, they picked up a little bit of form. They're actually 3-5 in their last 5 matches, which I mean, there's a lot of teams that are 3-5. Everyone's sort of started beating everyone, but it means on form they are definitely not the worst team currently playing in the IPL. If you're a Delhi fan, if you're a Rajasthan fan, not a Rajasthan, a Royal Challengers Bangalore fan right now, better question: which one would you rather be?
That's a tough question. On like pure on balance, pure objectivity. I think you've got to say DC because it's in their hands. And that's the position you want to be in. You want to be in control of your fate. You want to be in control of your destiny. And Delhi Capitals certainly are that. But, as a fan of either side, you'll be in that classic position, won't you? For RCB, you can only see the worst. And for DC, you can only see the worst, you can see every possibility of, as a Delhi Capitals fan, of Tim David just ruining your death bowling and taking Mumbai to a ridiculous total, or Bumrah taking 3 for 5 off 3 overs and ruining your run chase, that kind of thing. And for RCB, you're looking at it thinking, oh well, DC will put up 200 for none and it will be over before you even put the kettle on. So it can go either way, but your money's got to be Delhi, isn't it?
I like the incisive analysis there. This game. What I mean is there are ways that Mumbai can win.
Yeah. Aside from it being 200, there are ways that Mumbai can win this game, but you just have to think Delhi have got hold all the aces.
What I am slightly concerned about, if I was a Royal Challengers Bangalore fan anyway, is that we're going to see like a crazy team put out by
Mumbai. Yeah, Arjun Tendulkar for Bumrah.
Bumrah, I've been trying to get some team news on this, and it is always a little bit opaque. Bumrah might actually have an injury. And in fairness, if you don't play Bumrah in a season when you're 3-13, you've got nothing to play for because you want to give him a rest because he could be playing 8,000 matches for India in the next 12 months. That's not really what I'm concerned about. What I am concerned about is that we see Tim Davis out the team for Devil Brevis again, and we've got Amol Preet Singh at 3, and Rohit gives himself a rest for God knows who, might as well get Unag Cat back in for one last hurrah. Or Pollard, he's done nothing. Can he play?
Tampi?
Yeah. Basil Tampi. It's I think we could have a situation where we see a lot of trash.
I discovered the other day, actually, Basil Tampi is the proud owner of the most expensive 4-over spell in IPL history.
Did you?
None
Yeah.
for none for 70 in 2018.
That is astonishingly bad, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, Hazelwood's effort this year was like the third worst ever or something, or like the fifth worst ever.
What did he get to?
65.
Oh, that's quite
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. There's a bunching around 65, but Basil Tampi's way out ahead.
Well, on that topic, until so there's the greatest ODI of all time, where Australia played South Africa and South Africa chased 435 or something like that to win.
Yeah.
And that set the record for the worst 10 over spell. It was I can't remember the name of the guy. I mean, obviously, why would you remember the name of the the biggest pie chucker to ever walk on the pitch? But prior to so he bowled the most expensive spell in the history of ODI cricket. Prior to that, Muralitharan had the record.
Really?
Yeah. You just would not believe that, would you? Muralitharan, like there's so much that seems to be wrong about that. One, like he's a spinner. Two, he's the greatest, one of the greatest spinners of all time. Three, I mean, like who's taking him down? Who's thinking let's get 100 runs?
It was Mick Lewis, by the way.
Oh, Mick Lewis.
113 for none off 10 overs. But you know who's in at third?
Who's that?
Rashid Khan.
Really? Oh,
went
was
for
that
110.
Morgan? Was that Morgan?
Yeah, 110 off 9 against England in the World Cup.
Is it Murali at second then?
No, Murali's down.
He's gone down.
He's gone. Yeah, he didn't even break 100. He was 99.
Okay.
So he would have been third at the time of Mick Lewis.
Okay. Well, obviously, maybe I remembered it slightly differently. I just
but actually, no, second when the limit was 10 overs because there was a guy who bowled 12 overs for 105. So yeah, I think second, replaced by Mick Lewis. Same year.
So Mick Lewis edged him out of first.
Yeah, and it was actually exactly 1 month between the two occurrences as well. So he didn't have the title for long.
He didn't do a Brian Lara and try and reclaim the record either.
Well, he might have tried, but accidentally been too good.
But yeah, that's my concern for this afternoon is that I think Delhi will win. I think to some extent yesterday we saw some of the Chennai Super Kings players put up such a fight because a lot of them were playing for a place next year. Mukesh Chowdhury had something to.
The thing is, some of them might actually be quite good at cricket.
Well, yeah, that's also true. Like Patarana was auditioning for next season. Simajit Singh was auditioning for to open the bowling potentially next season, or maybe be the backup for Deepak Chahar. Mukesh Chowdhury was trying to keep his place. Santner and even Moeen Ali had points to prove.
Points to prove, for sure, yeah.
So there was a reason for them to like properly focus. I'm looking at some of these Mumbai players, and I'm sort of thinking, well, we know Rohit and Ishan and Surya Kumar Yadav and Tilak Varma, and probably Tim David now are all assured of a starting spot in the 11 next year.
We're going to have to look at Tristan Stubbs again, aren't we?
Bowling wise, I think we kind of know that even if Basil Tampi and Unad Kat get a game, we all know that they're not auditioning for anything. They just have to play 11 players. The game plan is still very much hope Jofra Archer comes back from injury, and that was a bad setback for that game plan this week. I don't really know, even if they play the proper 11, I don't really know who's got a point to prove. I can see them folding quite easily, and that does happen. You speak to people who play in these leagues, and quite often, they will say, once it gets to the point where you can no longer sort of win the tournament, you do start to think about the end. It's a little bit different in the IPL because the money's better and it's a bit more of a secure gig. Already coming back next season. Yeah,
but, exactly.
But we've just said there's not all that much to play for in terms of places. My team, I don't think.
No, I want to see the meme pick. I want to see Arjun Tendulkar play, just for fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Just for all the nepotism.
Right, Max, we've done 40 minutes. I think that's probably enough for a little morning show. We're off to go and play cricket this afternoon. So actually, I think Ross is watching the game. But we'll be catching up with it this evening or tomorrow morning. I think we've got a show tomorrow evening. I think it might, but I am I'm the only
I think
one
you're
doing
alone.
it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
you
have
need to find.
I
You need to find a guest.
And Dan bloody Weston's on holiday. Again, he's always on holiday. He's either he's either doing auctions or he's on
Well,
holiday.
also Punjab are playing, so you can only talk about half of it with him anyway.
I don't think he'd have mattered for the last match, but he'll be back for the playoffs. So yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm looking forward to talking some more cricket. Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the cricket.